In today's video, we are going to learn how to create this highly engaging and interactive mobile application prototype in Figma. And as soon as I click, you can see this really nice transition and animation on this page. We can also switch between the medium, large, and small coffee type. You can also increase the concentration of the coffee. You can see all this really beautiful animation. And once you click on continue, you get this loading almost done interaction and the coffee and the water being poured into the cup. And once it is done, the lid closes on the cup and you get a success message. I saw this video on LinkedIn and I thought a lot of people would be interested to learning how to create a really seamless and smooth animation like this on your mobile phone. There's a lot of things to consider, but I'm going to make this video as short as possible. So this is a really simple application to create. If you're looking to master animation and prototyping in Figma, please do stick around till the end of this video as you're going to be learning a lot. So without further ado, let's get started. So here we have some of the elements and assets we are going to be using for this design. I already pre-made all of this so that we can focus on the animation, the interactions, and the prototype in general so that we spend less time designing. So to get started, I'm going to go ahead and create a new frame. I'm going to use the iPhone 14 and 15 Pro frame, and I'm going to zoom in a bit. So from here, we are going to go ahead and bring in the main component for our home page. I'm going to select the status bar, the greetings text, this menu icon, and then this button. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it here in the new frame that we just created. I'm also going to bring in the background color. So I'm going to select this and copy the fill color, and then I'm going to paste it in this new frame that we are working with. I think I want to make it a little bit deeper, so I'm going to make it a little bit deeper just like this, and I think this is okay. So the next thing we need to do is to bring in the options of coffee that we have here, and I already have all of these coffee cups here, so I'm going to select all of them, hold down Option or Alt, and I'm going to drag them to the top just like this. Now, if you notice from the prototype we are working on, we have the name of the coffee just below the cup. And although the coffee cups here are of different colors, we are going to be making use of this white cup. So let's go ahead to add the title of this coffee below. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to click out, hit T on the keyboard to create text, and I'm going to paste this. So once I have this text, I'm going to select the text and select the image, hit Shift A to create an auto layout on it, and I'm going to make sure the spacing is 0. I'm going to make sure it is center aligned, and I'm going to rename the entire frame also to the same cappuccino. I'm going to do the same thing for this. Select the text, create a duplicate, select the image, create a duplicate. I'm going to copy this text and I'm going to paste it here as a new text. I think there's an error with this text. I think it's a typo, so I'm going to select this, select the text, select the image, hit Shift A, make it central, and reduce the spacing to 0. Also, I'm going to rename the entire frame to the new name. I'm going to do the same thing for the next coffee option, like this. Copy this, paste it here, select the text, select the image, hit Shift A, make sure it is 0 and center aligned, and then rename the entire frame also. I'm going to do the same thing for this last option here. Bring this in, copy the title, replace it with this, select the text, select the image, hit Shift A, make sure it's 0 and center align the text. Now once we have all of this, I'm going to also select every single one of them and hit Shift A to create an auto layout, and I am also going to make the spacing 0. So once I have this, you can then go ahead and bring in your coffee list into your artboard. But you're going to notice that we find it difficult to see the text because it's in white. So I'm going to open up this frame and select all the texts and then change the color of all the text down to a black color. Right. So once you have this, I'm not going to be replacing this entire thing. What I'm going to do is to create a duplicate. So I'm going to select this, hold down Alt, create a duplicate just like this. So I think I'm going to leave this for future reference. We are going to need this later, but let's just leave it here among the assets. So here what we are trying to achieve is on each screen, for example, here that we have the cappuccino option for the first screen, we want to scale it up a little bit more, and then we are going to have other items looking small like this. So if we scroll to the next screen, we are going to prioritize the coffee cup on the next screen, and it keeps going on like that. But we need to keep some guide to know exactly how we are going to be positioning this cup on the screen. So we are going to create a layout grid. I'm going to select this, and if you can't see some of the settings here, make sure you switch back to the move tool by hitting V on the keyboard. So I'm going to go to the layout grid, and for this layout grid we want to have a column layout, and we want to have a margin of 64. So we are going to have a margin of 64, and we want to make sure that this is positioned in the middle just like this. So I'm going to select this first cup here, and I'm going to add a stroke to it just so that we can position it properly to the middle. I'm going to hit K on the keyboard, and I'm just going to scale it down so that it starts and ends where this column starts and ends. So I'm going to leave it at 264. You can ignore the extra figures after the decimal, but 264 approximately. So I'm going to leave it at that because it just fits the sizing we want perfectly. And that is for the width. We also want to know where it starts and stops in terms of the height. So to do that, that's why I have this ruler guide here. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in a ruler guide, right? So I'm just going to click and drag this. If you're finding it difficult to select your ruler guide, you make sure you move back to the move tool, and then you can easily hold and bring it into your art frame. Now, if you find out that you can't see this ruler guide outside of this particular frame that you have, what you can do is to bring it out a bit, select outside of your frame, and probably select a different frame, then go ahead and bring it back in. So if you have a better way of removing your ruler guide from the frame you're working with and you want it to show in the entire file on the entire canvas, you can leave a comment in the comment section, because I also want to learn how to do that. But for this video, this is how I usually do it, and you can also follow that approach. So I'm going to bring another ruler guide down to this bottom here, so that at least we know that when we are creating other screens, we know how to perfectly position this, so that we know where it starts and where it stops, basically. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this particular black stroke that we have on this. And this is the exact effect we want to have on all screens. Now, knowing this, we want to go ahead to remove this. I'm going to go ahead and remove this entire thing. And I don't want to start from the first item. I actually want to start from the last item. And I'm going to show you guys why in a bit. So I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to bring in a fresh one, which is this. I'm going to hold down Alt or Option and duplicate. So we can then move this list of coffee into our home screen frame. But you can notice that if I try to show the last coffee here, and I click on this and I try to move it all the way to the left, there's the potential for this to leave this particular mobile frame that we have. And one way to fix that is to return this back into the frame. And as soon as you click and you start dragging, you want to hold down the space bar, and then you want to move. In short, if you hold down the space bar and you move this entire item out of this frame, you're going to notice that it doesn't leave the frame, right? So you can then bring it back and then show the last item here. Make sure you hold the space bar, and that's how you can fix this. In short, my very first video on YouTube was to explain that particular concept. So having this last item, we want to go back and add the stroke, and then hit K on the keyboard and then scale this up. I'm going to explain to you guys why I am starting with the last item in a bit, but for now, let's just follow along and position this particular last item to the guidelines that we've created. Perfect. So once we have this on the last, I'm going to select it again, hit V on the keyboard, and I'm going to remove the stroke from it. Now, from this last item is what we are going to be transitioning onto the next screen. As you can see here, after he gets to the last item, he then clicks on continue, and it then comes to this coffee details page where you can define the size and the concentration level of this. So that is why I'm starting with the last item, so that we can quickly create the page that we are going to next from here. So here we want to create the next page here, which is going to be giving us this particular transition effect, just like this. So you might be wondering, why didn't we create the scroll animation? In a bit, I'm going to explain that, but for now, let's just focus on creating the next page. So now, in order to create the next page, we're going to go ahead and create a new frame. I'm going to go ahead and create a new frame, iPhone 14 and 15 Pro. I'm going to bring it in here. I am going to copy the background color, which is this fill, and I'm going to paste it in. Then I'm going to bring in some components again. I'm going to copy this status bar. I'm going to paste it in. I'm going to also come to this asset panel. I also have this back button and the title. I'm going to copy both, and I'm also going to come here and paste it in. I'm going to position it properly, just to the middle, and I'm going to position this also properly. Select both of them and make sure they are properly aligned. Now, the next thing we want to have is our coffee cup. So for that particular detail page, I'm going to be using this black coffee cup here, and I'm going to also paste it here. You know what? I'm going to copy both the cup and its lid. So I'm going to copy both of this, and I'm going to paste it here. Right, so I'm going to position it down in the center. I'm just going to position it down in the center, just like this. So once I have this, the next thing I want to do is, you can watch closely on this animation. You can see that there is this coffee item that is dropping into the cup. So if I play this, you can see that little drop of coffee seeds or cocoa seeds dropping into the cup. So we are going to create the same effect. I'm going to come here, take this that we have here, copy this, and then paste it also in the artboard. I'm going to also put it here, but then I want it to be at the back of the layer of this cup. So if I select this main coffee and this processing cup, I want to make sure the main coffee is behind the layer of this processing cup. Now, what else is on this page? We have the sizing and the concentration. So I'm going to go to our assets, copy this, and I'm going to copy this also, and then come to this page and paste both of them. So for this, I'm going to put it here, and for this, I'm just going to put it here. We can also get our continue button. I'm going to copy this continue button and then also paste it just at the bottom here. Now, I think this is coming out really nice, and in a bit, we are going to see how all of this fits together. Now we've created all of the views for our next page. I don't think there is anything more to create. And what we want to do is to create a smooth transition between this. So in order to do this, we need to copy all of these items. So we're going to copy all of the items here. So we're going to copy all of these items that we've added to this next page. We're going to go to the home page and we're going to paste in all of these items here. Now stay with me. Let's go back to the prototype and play this. You want to pay attention to the direction in which some of the elements come in. So if I play this, you can see that the title drops from the top. This back arrow comes from the left. This cup and these other buttons here, they all come from the bottom. So we want to move all of this item here towards the direction in which we want them to appear on this page. So I don't know if you understand me, but basically, let's go about it one after the other. I'm going to select the lead. I'm going to also hold Command and select the title. And I'm going to use the arrow up key to move these items all the way to the top. Right? If you don't have patience like me, you can go ahead and click and drag all the items away. But there's a potential for it to leave your frame. That's why I would advise you use the arrow key. Or if you're going to do it like that, you make sure as soon as you click and start dragging, you hold down your space bar and then you move everything out of the artboard like this. Now for the back arrow, you want to do the same thing. You want to start moving it, hold down space and move it out of the artboard. Now for this cup image here, you want to do the same thing. You want to click as soon as you start moving, hold down space bar and move it out of the artboard. Very easy. For these cocoa seeds here, the same thing. You can see that from the prototype, it drops from the top, right? You can see how it drops from the top. You want to select it, start moving it up, hold down spacebar and just move it up completely. You want to select both of these and also select the continue button of this. Start moving it down, hold down spacebar and move everything to the bottom of the page completely. Now you can see that you can't see any of the elements of this page on this page again. I'm going to select this and remove the visibility of this layout grid for a moment. So for this particular one, I am going to go ahead and move it out. I'm still going to leave it outside because we don't need it yet. So I'm going to also leave it outside of this frame and make sure it is still inside the frame. Make sure when you're moving your elements, they don't leave the frame. It is very important, right? So once you have this, you can select this particular coffee cup and create a prototype all the way down to the next screen, right? So it's going to be an on-tap navigate tool. We want it to have a smart animation, and for the smart animation, let's leave it at 600 milliseconds, right? So I'm going to leave it at this, and I'm going to go ahead and create a preview to preview what we have. If you don't have a mobile phone preview here, you can come to the settings and set it to iPhone 15. So this is our home page, but once we click on this latte, you can see the direction to which all of these things is coming in from. So this is our prototype. Once we click on this latte cup, you can see that we have this really nice transition, but it is still not as perfect as we expect, right? Because what we have on this page is also not moving out of the page. It's not transitioning out of the page. It's just fading out, right? It's fading out, then this one is coming in, which is not completely the effect we want. Because if we look at this prototype, you can see that as soon as he moves to the next page, we have this entire page moving out, right? So what we can also do is to create some effect that lets all of this item move out of the page in different direction. So in order to do that, I'm going to close up this preview. I'm going to select this page that we just created here. I'm going to remove this interaction that we have to it, and I'm going to move it all the way to the right a little bit. Now we want to select this home page and create a duplicate. Now remember that we have all of the items in this page, in this home page also, but they are not currently visible, right? So what we want to do is to select all of the items here and then move it out. So let me give this a little bit more space, just like this. So we're going to move it out. So I'm going to select the title here. I'm going to move it out. As soon as I start moving it out, I'm going to hold down spacebar and move it out completely. I'm going to do the same thing for this. Start moving it, hold down spacebar, move it out completely. I'm going to do the same thing for this set of coffee. I'm going to start moving it, hold down spacebar, move it out completely, and then I'm going to do the same thing for this continue button, hold down spacebar and start moving it out completely. Now we need to bring in all of the items for this page. Now let's start with the back button. For the back button, you can see it here. So I'm going to select this. I'm going to go ahead and select the back arrow. And this is why it is good to rename some of your elements properly so that you can easily identify them. For the back arrow, I'm going to switch back to the design because I don't like that dot thing that keeps showing. For the back arrow, I'm going to select this, hold down space, and then click, bring it back into the artboard. Now I'm going to look for the title, which is this title here. Select it, hold down spacebar, bring it back into the artboard. What else do we need back into the artboard? We need the processing cup and the main coffee. We're going to select both of them. I think for the processing cup first, we are going to select it, hold down spacebar and bring it back into our artboard like this, right? For the main coffee seeds that we have, I'm going to select it, hold down spacebar and bring it back into our artboard. Then for the buttons like the sides here, select it, hold down spacebar, bring it back into our artboard. Then for the concentration levels, I'm going to also select it, hold down spacebar and bring it back into our artboard. I think we also have a button that is outside here. Right, I'm going to select it, hold down spacebar and position it. So I can select all of this item It's like this, and then align center so that everything is properly aligned. Now, once we have this, we can now create our prototype from this cup. Select the prototype and move it to this particular page. And we're going to leave all of the settings the way it is. And we can select this first frame and then preview our prototype. Now, once we click on this cup, you can see this really beautiful animation. You can see that the cup elements, this greetings and this text just easily transition and moves out of the screen, and then the elements of the second page smoothly transition into the page. So let's click, let's look at this. Very nice guys. So we've been able to achieve the first milestone of moving to the next page. We also need to pay attention to the positioning, because you can see that this cup is probably tilted to the left a bit, so you can select this and move it to the right a bit. Now, this is stage one, step one of this prototype completed. Now we can now go ahead to create our sliding effects. As you can see, just like this, we can go ahead to create this sliding effect through the different coffee types. And I'm going to show you guys why I created this page before the sliding effect. So guys, we are going to be stopping here for now because this video is already getting too long and there is still a lot of things we need to cover. So we are going to stop here for now. So in the next video, we are going to cover this sliding animation, as you can see here. So do not miss it. Make sure you turn on the notification bell so you get notified whenever I post next. Please do not forget to like, comment, share, and also turn on the notification bell if you find this video helpful, as I'm going to be posting other parts of this video in a bit. Bye for now. I'm going to see you guys in my next video.